careful plans for responsibly transitioning back to work, like the plans we've heard about just now this afternoon. They're devising new measures around personal protective equipment, cleaning procedures, virus screening, ongoing social distancing in the workplace, all of the things that you know about, and they all seem to be excellent plans. Which takes me to my second point, which is consistent guidelines. No matter how good every company's transition plan is, and we've heard a lot of good ones here this afternoon, public confidence will be undermined and the speed of the reopening will be dramatically slowed if we're all doing different things. And that's why the Business Roundtable has called for clear, science-based guidance from the federal and state governments on appropriate safety measures in multiple workplace and commercial settings at different stages in the progression of the disease. The White House guidelines, Mr. President, that you highlighted in your first slide, the ones that came out 2 weeks ago, are an excellent start in identifying a common set of phases for dealing with reopening. And a number of states are off to a really good start in identifying recommended safety measures in each of various different settings. Now we think, since we are now on the cusp of many places being ready to reopen more fully, we think more specific guidance is needed. And so on Friday, we sent to the Vice President and to all the governors a set of recommendations on the kinds of consistent guidance our businesses feel is necessary for the safest and fastest reopening. And we're grateful for the chance to engage with the Vice President's team and all of your task force on those issues. And I should say, Mr. Vice President, that everybody in your administration, despite the heavy burdens on them, has been very receptive to taking advice from the business community, and we're very grateful for that. Final point, ample testing and monitoring. The only thing worse than an unnecessarily slow recovery is a reversed recovery. So to avoid serious setbacks, as our businesses reopen, we need to stay vigilant, identifying rapidly and isolating new COVID cases and carefully tracking the spread of the disease, as I know your team is working very hard on. The robust testing and other forms of monitoring are the keys to the vigilance, and they'll also teach us what's working and what's not working and allow us to make adjustments. It'll allow for our economy to return to normal. But the traditional American virtues of vigilance, adaptation, and innovation, we are confident will see us through and get us to the other side of this crisis as safely and rapidly as possible.
Thank you very much, Josh. That's great. The numbers, when you look at the stock market today, the system is great. It's up very substantially, as you know. And I think people are seeing a very big year coming up next year, and I think they're seeing a very big fourth quarter. Larry, would you like to say, Larry Kudlow, a few words, please?
Just a few words. Thanks to everybody, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, and all the business folks, and my friend Stephen Mnuchin. This is a tough one. I've been around a while. This is a tough one, and the contraction is going to go on for a bit. But I like what I hear around the table, and I agree with the President. We will see a growing, recovering economy by summertime and the back end of the year, and it's going to extend into 2021. That's what I think is going to happen, and I think the stock market is signaling some of that. I wanted to buck it over to my dear friend and colleague, Kevin Hassett. He gave it to me over in the Oval yesterday. I want to send it over to him today, but I appreciate it, Mr. President. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Larry. And Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, I think when I first came back in early March, that it was clear that you had a first objective with respect to the economy of building a bridge to the next shore, the other shore, when we could restart the economy. And it was really massive fiscal action that made it so that a day like today could be possible, whereas you look around, there are all these businesses that have the wherewithal to start up. And it's because they've stayed connected to their employees. The checks that we've mailed to citizens means that there's going to be demand for their products. And so the big negative numbers that we're going to be seeing over the next few months don't necessarily mean what they would have meant absent all those policies. And so I think that we all have a great deal of optimism about how quickly the economy can come back, and it's precisely because of what we see in the room today, that people have come up with plans based on